Yes, indeed, we're back. And I think it worked. Sometimes it really is just that quick. Unfortunately, because of the technology that we're running out there is no way to do a reboot in the middle of the show. You literally have to stop the show, redo the technology, as they say, and then start it back up. So, yeah, we're back up. I got Ed hanging on the other line. I'm going to give people a couple of minutes to jump back in. And actually, while we're doing that, for everybody at home, I'm going to play the track that I did with my son for a project that he's working on. I can't tell you how much I love this fucking kid. This is the reason I'm still alive. And one of the greatest joys in my life is making music with my son. It's a completely different type of track. It is my first attempt at a kind of pop track, though when you hear the guitars, you will recognize that obviously I'm still a guitar player at heart. I do synthesizer, keyboard, piano type of stuff. Don't get me wrong. But at heart, I'm a guitar player. So he wanted something different, something that fit more in the vein with the project that he's doing. So I'm going to throw this on, let everybody kind of find their way back in. And then Ed and I will be back live for some more scenes from An Italian Family. So enjoy this little track called Tales of the Indigo Monkey. All right, yeah, so we're back. I got Ed on the line. And without further ado, let me introduce my brother, Ed Contini. Now, Ed Contini, by the way, and you can hear him clunking around in the background. Yeah, that was your cue, brother.
Yeah, I'm here. I just like to hear you talk about that.
No, it's all good. Listen, this is the beauty of doing the live thing.
Yeah, I was actually looking for something here, and my mind like goes in, it spirals sometimes. I have to look for something.
Diane got you on some great search?
No, actually, it's just my own curiosity of what I have.
You're doing an inventory in the middle of a show.
I am. I do that.
That's multitasking, man. That's impressive.
Well, I call it like fucking scatterbrain.
Well, listen, man, we've all listened. I was talking at the beginning of the show before I called you. That's what happened between me and Brian, and we were talking about it when we met up earlier when we were moving the table and stuff.
Yeah,
we just completely brain fucked, and just I don't know where that show went. Did it play Sunday night? Did it end up in like the Twilight Zone in the middle of nowhere?
That's a good reference. It was like that airplane that like left in 1928 or 38 or whatever it was and came back in 1963.
Yeah, it's just like where the fuck? Yeah. Where was it for how many years?
It went to 7-Eleven. It was there a while.
But while I have you on the line, and the first thing that I'm going to throw up here, we work at the radio station together. I'm also proud to announce that you're also one of the new members of the Pocketful of Wolves and will be performing with us October 7th at the House of Guitars.
Very proud of that. Thank you.
Frank. Oh, listen, I'm fucking glad to have you. I mean, awesome. Listen, the little things that we're doing at your place with you and your wife, Diane, really is becoming the foundation of family. You know what I mean? Family isn't just exactly who you're related to.
That's it. It's not, growing up the way I did, if you weren't blood related, you were nothing. And that's how they, that was the culture. And that's not the truth. That's not the truth, nor is it the reality. I mean,
listen, we have people closer. We have people that we trust and are closer to us than people who are fucking related to us.
Yes.
And
no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, ultimately, and it's the old adage, blood is thicker than water, but it is the blood of, the covenant is thicker than the water. You know what I'm saying? And that's
I know.
And you
that's
do
so
that.
True.
You find people, you connect with them, and they become family.
And that's an organic thing. It is not something you can fake, nor is it something you can force. You see, you had to get forced. At least I had to get forced to go to my grandma Barbara's in Greenville, New Jersey, every week Sunday dinner. She was not a very good cook whatsoever. She didn't do the cooking. I'm just saying it was an aberration. But here's the truth.
You're lucky to still be here, aren't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. No, I am. I was what you would call maybe the black sheep, but more than that, I was the observer of what went on. But here's something interesting about Italian families. The Contini name. All of the Contini cousins, the male cousins. And this happened at my Uncle Joe. Everybody had an Uncle Joey or Uncle Joe
or an Uncle Vinny.
Or an Uncle Vinny. Yeah, I mean, there was some names you had to have. So my Uncle Joe was married to my Aunt Antoinette, which is, typical. They had their 25th wedding anniversary, and they had all of the cousins, male and female, but I was the oldest male Contini. So I got to sit at the head of the table with my siblings near me, all my cousins around me, but I got to sit at the head of the table because I was the oldest male. Surprisingly now, and I know a lot of Italian guys that their house, they got to have the head of the table. I fucking sit where I want to sit and I'm comfortable. I don't go for that shit because, number one, I cook the food and I want it, Well,
I was just going to say, I've seen you in action. That's assuming that you even do fucking sit. You're like me a lot of times. You'll just float around. You'll nosh a little bit here and there. And by the time everybody's sitting down to eat, you're so shot out and you're already full from fucking testing everything along the way.
And I do.
You don't even want to fucking eat anymore.
No, my pleasure gets from watching people eat the food. But But this is a for me. This is true family. Now, we Diane and I both believe that family is ultimately extremely important. We have our blood family, but we have our everyday family, and I consider you and Shia and Brian, Otivia, Tamara, and Jim to be my immediate family.
Well, we've got new family for you too. We've got some adopted people. We have Ayla and her mother Brandy.
Yep. Ayla's wonderful. I love her. She's awesome, by the way.
And that's why I'm going to continue to promote her. Same as Bonded by Darkness. So we've got some other people that are coming in. So the family's going to get a lot bigger, man.
That's good, man. That is awesome.
Fucking beautiful, I think. Right.
My house is an open house, pop-in house. You know that.
Be careful what you. Hey, listen, you're putting this out publicly. Be careful, man. It's going to be like Woodstock. There's going to be 200,000 people parked all the way down through your fucking neighborhood. Everybody's going to, your pool's going to turn brown. You know what I mean? Your dogs are going to have a stroke.
We're good, man.
Hey, listen, Diane's going to have a lot of fun with it. I know that. And I got to tell you, a big part of that magical dynamic is really the incredible bond that the two of you have. Like,
thank you.
It's like you said, you can't fake that kind of shit. You can get away with playing a part to a certain degree, but you can't really hold the illusion, especially when you have to interact with people over periods of time. You know what I'm saying? Right. Eventually it comes out of the fucking wash. You step in it, you know what I mean? And, again, you can't fake your way fucking through that.
What we have, I don't even know how it happened, except it happened almost 22 years ago, and we've spent all of that time together.
Oh, listen, she saw you, she chose you, you were marked, not unlike the Antichrist, and that was it, man. You were, your fate was sealed.
Have met. I mean, where I went and met her that night, it was cosmic in nature, okay? And I believe in the universe playing special parts, but this was meant to happen. You coming on Rock the Rock that day with Shia was meant to happen. Everything that has evolved from that meeting has been organic.
Very well said, yeah.
Connection. There's been a connection. And I, growing up and now I'm half Polish and half Italian, so I could look at things through two different cultures. I was predominantly raised like an Italian, but I still retained the Polish culture. Now, this is going to sound strange, but back then...
Really? You're telling me, of all people, that something's going to sound fucking strange?
Yeah. Well...
Hit me with your best shot, brother.
And it was like not acceptable for the Italian family to let one of their sons or daughters marry a non-Italian. That caused friction with my some of the people in my dad's side.
Oh, listen, even within Italian groups, if you weren't part of the correct Italian group, which is what my mother went through when she married my father, my grandfather, was Italian. They followed the old Roman Catholic rituals, but because they were so far out on the other end of the spectrum, you know what I mean? My mother's parents were like, and they saw it. They saw it for what it's worth, and they're like, yeah, no, fuck you. And my mother made the hard choice that she had to. As I'm sure you did.
Yeah. My Polish side, my babcia, that's grandma in Polish, she loved my dad. And I'm not so sure the other way around went with my mom, because but my mother soldiered through. She did what she had to do. But every damn Sunday, we go to 199 Gates Avenue in Greenville, New Jersey for, I bet you're going to be surprised when I tell you what we had. We had pasta.
Oh, and that's just so not.
It was not homemade. It was not homemade. It was not anything out of the ordinary. It was pasta. We ate it. Then we went outside and beat each other up, our cousins, because we always fought. We didn't really want to be around each other. I mean, we were kids.
But it's also the time period, too. You could do that, and it didn't turn into like a shooting match or, you know what I mean, somebody ending up at the bottom of the fucking river.
Yeah, no. Oh, actually, I've seen bodies floating in the Hudson River, to be honest with you.
Well, I know you've seen a lot of horrible
It's
shit.
a lot of stuff.
Hey,
Yes.
listen, let me segue around from the horrible shit because you can't see this, but for our folks at home, I've got your Over the Edge promo up on the screen.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us about that show, and then we'll dip back into some funny shit.
I have a show. It's called Over the Edge every Thursday from 3 to 5, along with my co-host Tamara McDuff, who tries to keep me in line, but it's
it's a losing battle.
Yeah, it is. So my show is conceived with the idea of giving a voice and advocacy to 3 specific groups, but of course that also extends out for the veterans of the military, all different branches of methods of service, whatever you were in. We try to help give a voice to that. For the senior citizens, who I am a member of that group, and I do talk quite a bit about services allowed we have for senior citizens, and I talk about scams that we always have to deal with. And there's many levels of seniors. Like when you live to be an octogenarian, late into that, or your 90s or your 100, the scams become more frequent. So it's
a fucking shit show. I mean,
it is. Yeah. It is a shit show. We talk about what happens. Like I've had this problem 2 years in a row. I'm on Medicare now because once I turn 65, I'll be 68 in August. But what the problem here is, they change. You have to renew it, and there's all these new options, and you get some fast talking snake oil salesmen. I mean, they're honorable, some of them, but I'm tainted from that old. Let me sell you a bridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got a tree in Brooklyn. I'll sell you.
Right, I know. I got a good rate on it. I got to sell it because I did buy it, so I got fucking find to buy it. I had to put that out there if anybody's interested.
It's true. The most vulnerable people within our societies and cultures are obviously the ones that are targeted by the fucking predators. It is, and it's gone on it's generational. It's gone on since the beginning of fucking time, right?
So the one thing that I hold even more dear than seniors and veterans, of which I'm a senior and a veteran, are disabled people, because autism, bipolar, any kind of mental health issues, it is a horrifying thing to be in a situation where your mind is tortured and you don't know what to do. Suicides occur. So we spend a lot of time talking about that. We did a whole month of autism awareness and acceptance. And then, we don't just do it 1 month. I have a lot of people come on who either are related to someone who is autistic or an autistic person themselves. So I find it, for me, it is it's not sad, it's not depressing. It is putting a voice and advocacy to the people that seldom have a voice, that they're overwhelmed. And every case is different. Everything is different. But that's my mission of Over the Edge.
Well, people are unique, right? People are unique by nature. And you try and bring some humor. You look for the beauty. You look for the elements, not unlike what Atibia and Tamara do on their show, to break the fucking stereotypes, to say, hey, no, just because somebody said this or somebody did that doesn't mean it applies to everyone and everything else.
If you want to, like fucking scorch my nuts, tell me, we shouldn't talk about that because it's depressing, and people don't want to hear about depressing stories.
Oh, no, listen, but that's how we have to fight it, is by breaking the stereotypes, bringing the humor. You know what I mean? And if that means, hey, listen, if that means your nuts got to get scorched in the process, you don't mind taking a little damage, right?
Listen, they've been jumped on, punched, kicked so many times in my life. You know what? I'm good. Yeah,
it is what it is. So let's dance into some of the comedy, because a lot of the comedy is born, let's be blunt, out of the fucking stereotypes. And what I got out on the screen, and you can't see it right now, I got a couple classic meme shots between Goodfellas. And the first one, and the top of it says, when Italians make fun of other Italians, and it's got, Joe Pesci and Ray, they're doing that scene at the table when, he's like, hey, the Tommy, that's fucking funny. And like,
yeah,
what am I, a
funny
fucking
how?
comedian to you?
Like a fucking clown.
But the bottom one is just them all looking serious and looking like they're going to fucking whack somebody when others make fun of Italians. And it really is, to some degrees, that kind of weird thing. When you can make fun of yourself within a group that you're comfortable with, it's fucking hysterical. Yeah, Brandy Rose is like, am I funny? Yeah, am I a fucking joke to you? But when other people do it, all of a sudden, we're all mobbed up and we're like, hey, am I a clown to you?
Yeah. I moved up to Rochester. I sound like I'm from Jersey City. Okay. You know why?
Because you are from fucking Jersey City.
And they look at me like, what fucking planet did you come from? Oh, here's the best one. I got a brand new job. I got transferred to Ohio. I walk into the office. I get they used to call them personnel, whatever. The HR managers now, and they got fancy titles. Used to be the personnel guy. He looks at me and he reads my name. What's going over here? So, you're an Italian, just like that. So I look at him, fucking dead serious. I say, no, actually, I'm Italian. I come from Italy. Italians come from Italy. I don't know where the fuck that is. And he looked at me. He says, I'm sorry. I said, you know what? The fuck. I already knew right then, the ignorant motherfucker. Okay.
Well, listen, ignorance is,
I didn't belong there.
It's like air. You know what I mean? You got to just open the window and breathe it in. It's everywhere around you. But a lot of it's also born within some of those direct interactions. You and I both had some similar dynamics growing up. Granted, you're a little bit older than me, but that's beautiful because I was the oldest in my family. So I finally now have an older brother. And
there you go.
And as Shia says, Diane is like our matriarch now. She's like mama.
She is.
And everybody has kind of like, folded around that. And she dances it well, but she has an incredibly wicked humor. She's not afraid to speak her mind, or she'll walk up to you, grab your tit and be like, hey baby, how you doing? You know what I mean? And like when she came after you with the scissors, we're sitting at the table, fucking poor Ed, just he's minding his own business. We're having a conversation. And Diane comes up behind you and just starts cutting your fucking hair.
She did. Yep. She got tired of looking at it.
And you look like, literally, you were on the Baton Death March. Like, just somebody had just signed you to the Green Mile and you were frozen because you knew, like, I can't move.
No, because this is the woman who was cutting my toenails and cut a piece of my little baby toe off with it. Twice.
Well, hey, listen, like I said, you don't mind taking a little damage, right?
I do not care.
Listen, we do these things in the love. But, also, too, in our interactions at your place and, with some of the things we've been doing, a lot of and I can't even remember all the fucking hysterical, I know I had a couple of moments where I almost shit myself, you know what I mean? And it was just like, okay, this is, and we make fun of it, but it's fucking beautiful. It's empowering. And I always feel good after leaving your place. You know what I mean? And
that's what we want.
That's real magic, as Shai and I like to say.
You know what? We are, I can come off as some kind of crazy fucking dago, but you know what? I am. But we accept, we love people. And I've rarely met such nice people as you. And Shai are amazing. And same with Brian and Otavia. And I think it was just meant to be.
We have a lot in common. We have the music in common.
Yeah, we do.
I've been working with my son with the Under My Skin for Life Foundation down in Jersey for over a decade, doing autism awareness, doing shows, you know what I mean, going to the hospitals and things and interacting and working with children. You've been doing the same thing. Brian and Tivy has been doing, so we've all been to different degrees already doing a lot of those things. And now we're just kind of combining and saying, you know what? We're fucking stronger together than we are apart. And we just kind of latched onto it, in many ways. Oh, dude, it just dawned on me.
What?
You're fucking Don Contini, man. We just started the Contini family.
I love it. You gotta do that, yeah.
Hey, just don't make me kiss the fucking ring, man. That's all I ask.
No, I only wear a wedding ring, and then that's only for my wife. So
I just don't. I don't want to kiss it because I know your wife. Because I don't know where that finger's been.
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, I'm not the typical dago. I have one have two pinky rings, but one came from a corpse for real that I have. I'm not telling you how I acquired it, but anyway, I use that at weddings and funerals. It's really nice.
It's just, one of those little things. I'm going to throw that out there, sprinkle a little bit of darkness on your cannoli, and then run out the fucking door.
There you go. I don't like cannoli. I got the only wop that don't like Italian. I don't like Italian cookies. Till tonight, for the first time, I found out you're supposed to dunk them and shit. So, no wonder it tastes like.
You know what? I'll be honest. I have not really noticed you do much in the way of sugar. Like, I don't see you drink soda
No,
no. Now, I will say this. You're fucking an incredible cook like I am.
Okay.
You have taken that element and made it your own. You make your own homemade pastas. You make your own homemade breads. You make all your gravies and meat. Like you follow the old school like my mother does. You know what I mean? And, the power of food. I got the
basil plants right out on the deck.
Oh, my God.
Nothing like that, huh?
But it sets a beautiful stage, for that interaction, for that family. But as we joke about a lot, a lot of the comedy is born from the other experiences and the people that we fucking encounter, like a Schloss Fest, watching how some of the drunk people were just, completely out in left field. And, you and I and Jim are sitting there, we're the only sober ones in the fucking place. Yeah. Just watching the insanity, and it wasn't like a bad insanity, but you and I both know because you don't drink like I don't drink. So when you can sit back and observe people's behavior when they're in that zone, it's a fucking comedy show.
Yeah, and it is. I get entertained, and we've never had a bad time going out to a show, and it's always been wonderful. And I gotta tell you, man, before we go any further, I sincerely want to thank you and Brian, both of you, for helping me with my music, and it makes me feel good.
Well, listen, this is how music really is created. It's not, something that falls out of the sky.
No,
granted, we get inspiration sometimes from the sky, but you know what I mean. It is developed. It's worked. It's born from our experiences. It's born from our love, our dreams, our nightmares. You know what I mean? So we all have the ability, and music is just a translation on storytelling, and you're a storyteller by nature. You know what I mean? You do acting, you're a radio DJ, and I got to also give you credit because a lot of guys your age would just be like, fuck that. I'm going to sit in my rocking chair and just watch the world pass on by. And you're like, yeah, fuck no. I'm still living. There's life to be had.
And that is important to me, and I can go into that. But I'm just so glad now I have lived to the age where I can go out in the morning and do 30 miles an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone and piss people off behind me.
Oh, now you got a fucking excuse to drive like that? Really? You're going to be that. You're going to be that guy. You're going to milk it. I know you. You're going to fucking milk it for all it's worth.
I am.
Hey, listen, let's give a shout out to Virgil Kane. He's joining us from Manchester, England.
Oh,
fucking
welcome.
Manchester. What a club. Yeah. Yes, some of us over here actually understand where what we call soccer, but the true form, football, actually comes from.
Oh, yeah.
So, thanks for joining us, Virgil.
Thank you. All kidding aside, it was interesting growing up in Jersey City, especially in my neighborhood that had, you name a nationality or ethnicity, we had it. So this is probably why I have this attitude, and I know a lot of Italians don't, but I do. I don't give a fuck what you look like, where you went to school, what your bank account is like, who your mother is. I don't give a shit. If you're a decent human being, you're part of the club. If you fuck with my family and
there's certain lines you just simply do not cross.
No, and we didn't cross that line when we were kids. That's something always stuck with me. And for the record, here's something interesting I think you're going to like. Big family. My dad there was 11 siblings he had, as did my mother. And when you went to dinner and the whole family was together, right, you had to get a seat, right? I mean, there's so many places at the table. They have big tables, but apparently not big enough. I was almost 19 years old and going there on a holiday before I got to sit at the adult table because not enough people died. So it was like getting Giants tickets in New York. You get them.
You finally got a seat at the fucking big table.
So somebody got to die. So you look at your Uncle Louie and say, hey, Uncle Louie, how you feeling? You look kind of shitty.
Nice. Time to check out, right? Give me give me that season pass.
92 years old. How about fucking kicking a bucket, man, so I can get a seat? I mean, it's the way it is.
Well, I mean, again, to some degrees, and you and I joked about this when we were at your place on Sunday. We actually enjoy being at the kids' table. We don't like being at the even as adults. We don't want to fucking deal. We'd rather hang out with the kids. You know what I mean?
Because I could do stupid shit at the kids' table, like lick the knife.
Listen, to some degrees, you know, we're really, I guess, kind of caught in the paradox. Life is for the living, so you can either embrace it, you can dance, as they say, or you can just sit and just wait to fade to black. But ultimately, you know what I mean? It's a no-brainer. It's cake or death. I'm going to take fucking cake every day of the week.
Yep.
Now,
you're right.
My mother made an interesting thing, and I didn't realize this. My grandfather, my mother's father, was from Jersey City. So we have more. My mom's in the chat, and she's like, "Yeah, her dad was from Jersey City." I didn't even fucking know. See, I'm learning something new about my family.
Where in Jersey City?
I don't know. She'll probably, Mom, he's asking where in Jersey City.
Yeah, because I had relatives all over there, and I lived right off the turnpike, a big 4-story.
Listen, you like the Italian community stream, Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Jersey City. You know what I mean? There are a couple places that are kind of synonymous with, Italian.
I come up here and somebody's telling me about the mob up here, and they're being all serious and looking at me, and I fucking literally broke out laughing out loud.
Oh, listen, that's one of those old stereotypes. Like, just because you're Italian, that means somehow you're connected. But listen, to some degrees, I'm okay with that. If you want to think I'm connected, maybe that'll keep you in check.
I know. But see now, off the record, I have had I don't even know how to put this. Yes, my family's connected. Was connected.
Well, we're all connected to some degree. We
exactly.
Just, it's like Fight Club. The first rule of fucking Italian club is you don't talk about it.
Talk about the Fight Club. So I found it interesting that they would hear me talk and look at me like I had an IQ of 12 until we started talking. And then, it was ridiculous. And then but on the other hand, when I moved up here, I got to be honest with you, Rochester was about 5 to 10 years behind where I grew up in terms of everything. So, it was a very difficult transition for me to come up here, where 3 miles from the apartment building I grew up in was Manhattan. And hell, I would go over there, go to Madison Square Garden and shit like that. But I came up here. It was still. I tried to get away from here for a long, but karma would not let me leave. I had to stay here for where I'm now. And I was talking to Brian today. They were all they came back with Tony, and he had a great experience tonight. By the way, he was. Did
he go in the pool?
Yeah, he did.
Nice.
He went under the water. She said she hasn't seen him this happy in years.
Well, this is real magic. This is how we actually really change things. One person, one step at a time.
Exactly.
Now, Virgil made a comment, and I got to reply to it because I can completely relate to this. He says, if my dad was alive today, I would have him, quote unquote, whacked. Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. My father was a narcissistic, fucking drunken, abusive asshole. But luckily, he whacked himself, so I didn't have to really have to deal with that.
No,
and we can take dark things. Yeah, we can take dark things and make them comedic, because sometimes that is truly the lesser of two evils. And as my mother says, if you talk about mob, you ain't. And you and I both know that. A lot of people talk that fucking talk, and that's how you immediately know, you don't fucking know anybody. Because if you know somebody, you already know you don't talk about that fucking shit.
Yeah, and I had somebody ask me, it was kind of a smart ass thing. And I said, here, I'm going to give you this name, and you look it up on the internet, And then you Google it, and he come back and said, "Man, I'm sorry, man. I won't." I said, "Yeah, no shit."
Yeah.
So just be careful.
Just do a Google search. Listen, when people do Google searches on my last name, believe me, and I'm going to have a guy in the podcast in August that is actually a writer and a historian, an author, and he's been researching my family on my father's side because of some of the shit that they did through the 50s and 60s. Yeah, my father's family left a fucking wide swath of wreckage through the generations. You know what I mean? And you and I have gone out of our ways, and I know, again, because I've seen it with how you interact with the kids around you and stuff. You made it a point to break all those generational fucking taboos and all those fucking stereotypes and dysfunctions, and you were just like, you know what? Fuck this. This is how you do it.
I don't think it was a conscious effort. I think it's just how I am. I saw so much shit, and believe me, we've spoken. I've seen way too much shit. My first body, a woman died. She keeled over. Her head hit me, wound up in my lap when I was like 8 years old, so maybe a little bit younger than that. She stroked out right there. But it was a long story. I don't want to go into it, but that was the first time I experienced a death, and it wasn't the last time.
I mean, you were EMT for how many fucking years?
Well, I got my first certification in 1975 in Texas, of all places, when I was in the military there, and it was the first year that they officially recognized and certified emergency medical technicians. And then until I got I got hurt pretty badly with a patient, and I lost. Well, I couldn't lift. Can't lift anymore with my left arm. I can't go over 35 pounds without the possibility of seriously damage. I shredded my tendon, my distal biceps tendon. For anybody who doesn't know what that means, it's furthest from the shoulder, and it's the most important tendon in your arm. The proximal tendon. If you rip that, it's a lot easier fixed. 13 or so months of rehab, going on the road. 3 or 4 shifts later, I'm back at the surgeon's office. He said, "You're done." So that was the job I love to do the best. But I've seen some shit through that. I've seen some shit through Jersey City. I laugh about it. You know why I laugh about it, brother? Because it helps me.
Well, listen, it's the lesser of the two evils. You and I both know at the end of the day, you have a simple choice. You either let it define you, or you find a way to define it. You know, darkness doesn't give a fuck what we think, what we feel. No. It consumes, you know what I mean? And it's real easy. And you and I both have been at that point in our lives where you're just like, you know what? I'm sick of this fucking stupidity. I don't want to deal with it. And we both found ways back from that. And no coincidence, they were centered around dynamics of family, of love, and hope, because other people brought that to us. So in many ways, we both are compelled to kind of, pass that along, the pay it forward analogy.
Yes. You have to break the stereotypes growing up in an Italian family. Okay, the guy has to sit at the head of the table, or, and you know how I am about that, right? I can give a fuck less where I sit. I don't care. Okay. But that's something that was important even to my father, all his brothers, his father, that, they had the patriarchal seat. Well, I have a comfortable chair for me. I don't give a shit where it is. And I know, I have some people, even when Diana's family, they would come over, and her sister would say, "Well, aren't you going to sit there?" I said, "No." "Well, you're the head of the family." I said, "Yeah, okay." I don't want to sit there. Well, I give a shit where I sit.
Well, listen, you're setting a better standard. You're saying, hey, these things should not be defined just because. Listen, one of the things we were joking about Sunday, and it is another reflection of that, within Italian cultural aspects, we'll call it.
Yes.
Men have always kind of danced with this. Well, we can do whatever the fuck we want, but women, they have to be saints. So the analogy was, you raise the kids, you stay home, you got to be, like this. You can't look at nobody. But I'm going to go out and get me a couple of Goombas and stick my dick in anything that moves and stuff like that. Yeah. God said it was okay. That's my job as a man. But if a woman even blinked wrong, you'd be like, oh no, fuck that, you know. So it's one of those crazy little stereotypes that gets passed on generationally. And then you wonder how we end up at like MTV's Jersey Shore.
Oh, well, please don't even get me started with that bullshit.
I knew that was going to be a trigger for my mother as well. So listen, for anybody that's actually really Italian, because most of them aren't even fucking Italian. You know, that was what was crazy about it. It's just like we're gonna identify as Italian. That's the new thing now.
When somebody, even these days, once in a while I see somebody got the fucking Guido jewelry on, or as I like to call it, a Mr. T starter kit.
Mr. T starter kit.
Yeah, gets a little fucking annoyed. You like that?
Listen, I mean, again, but that's part of the problem that we have is that everybody's running around with this illusionary. And don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for that. You know, enjoy it. But when we can't even, you know, and again, that's one of the things you talk about in your show. I talk about it a lot. We have the technology and resources to make sure that nobody goes hungry, that nobody should have to worry about, you know, their grandparents, you know, living in a fucking hovel, eating cat food, or any of these other crazy analogies. You know what I mean? We'd rather focus on broadcasting, you know, Paris Hilton's pussy across the globe. You know what I mean? That's more important. But we don't have the money or resources to feed children, though. No. We can't do that.
No, we do. So listen, all of that shit is fucking geared to control. And I'm going to tell you what. Here's, you know, in New York State, it was, you know, there was no lottery. Even in Jersey, my dad would, once in a while, the Irish lottery would come out, which was in Ireland, $1 million. And I don't think anybody ever won it. It was just a fucking scam. But then, you know, I had an aunt that, more than one aunt and uncle that were in the, shall we say, the fine casino arts without a casino.
Numbers.
I wonder what that means.
Numbers.
So that was very profitable. You know, it was profitable.
Listen, I knew people when, you know, I was younger and shit like that would float some money out onto the street and stuff like that. And, you know, if you didn't pay, it was like a Bronx Tale. They were chasing you fucking up and down the avenues and, you know, be waiting in your bathroom at 3 o'clock in the morning. Where's my fucking money? Well,
I mean, you borrowed it and now you got to pay 50% a week VIG, so that's okay. So what happened? What happened to that? The government says, like in New York, oh, wait a minute. What the fuck?
Why aren't we doing that?
We'll hit them with RICO, put them all away, and take their customers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then, I'm telling you, then get them all hooked on that shit. Then run a little fucking PSA, say, if you have a gambling problem, call this number. Well, you're fucking causing the gambling problem. You're exacerbating it.
Oh, my God. We were joking about Atlantic City, what a fucking absolute shithole Atlantic City has become. And we were down there last year for the autism event, and we decided to stay in Atlantic City, and it was a big fucking mistake. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. We made it work, but the casinos were literally was like something from a Walking Dead episode. It was all these older people literally shuffling from one machine to the next. And, you got women running around and, you know, basically wearing saran wrap, just pouring alcohol into them, keeping them as absolutely fucking drunk as possible. And just squeezing them for everything they have.
You hit on something very, very important here because back in the day, I'm talking like when my parents were in their 20s and all, the dream, especially if you grew up in an extremely poor neighborhood like we did, everything was, we're going to, you give them a dime, the bookie get a dime or a nickel, and you're hoping to hit that score. Well, that carried on for years. Then when the casinos opened up, the people that were now getting older, remember the people that are in their 80s and 90s now going to these casinos were the young people back then that were still trying to succeed through gambling.
Trying to find their piece of the American dream, as we like to call it.
It's an illusion. The promise was always intended to give you an opportunity, not to stop you, but every time something gets regulated, it does stop you. So they took to the casinos. When my mother first went to Atlantic City, and it was a really cute picture of my dad. He's at the bus because they took a bus trip. Okay, this was after we were living up here, but they went down there to one of their my father's uncle brothers' places. Anyway, they went on a bus trip, and he's there with his Lucky Strike, non-filtered Lucky Strike, sticking out of his mouth, hanging out his bottom lip, his hands in his pockets with his pockets turned out like he's got no money left. Now that's a really cute picture, but there's more to it than that.
It reflects a deeper problem.
It does,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And I don't think he would never have gotten that impression from that, except as a whimsical thing. But that kind of could have been used. That really could have been used as a PSA for gambling issues.
Well, because again, some of this is, the conditioning aspect. Here's this shitty little fantasy that, hey, if you just put enough quarters in this slot here, all your problems are gonna go. And it's bullshit. You and I both know it. I want to shout somebody out real quick before we take a break. We're gonna play one of Ayla's new tracks. But Brother Virgil Kane, we don't ban people here just because they talk. Nothing you have said, as far as I'm concerned, is either A, out of the line, B, anything more than just having honest communication. And brother, you are welcome to hang out and talk. He also made a comment. He's a senior charge nurse in the UK. And the closing statement that I'm going to give that Brother Virgil shared with us, and I think it's a great one, it is better to light a candle than curse the darkness. And he's fucking right.
He's right. You
know what I mean? Because that really, everything else is just an illusion. It's bullshit. It's just semantics. It is the Wizard of Oz, the great and mighty Oz. And you pull the fucking curtain back and it's just some fucking crazy old guy that just is just like, you know what I mean? He can't even,
That's the job I want next, to be that crazy old guy. Oh, wait, I am.
You already are. So, Brother Virgil, you are always welcome in this community.
You are.
Part of what we try and do, and don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but we try and be inclusive. We don't care, again, where you come from, what brought you here. And again, within the very simple and humble context, you're not doing anything hurtful or anything bad or anything. Listen, trust me when I say I've seen characters literally come out on the internet and just whip their dick out and just start spinning it around. Hey, look at me. You know what I mean? You're good, bro. Virgil, we like people like you, man. So hang out, enjoy.
Hey, bro, before you play that track, I've gotta hit the sack, brother, because I get up at 4.
All right, brother. Listen, thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
We'll do it again. Awesome. We'll make sure we get the tech right. Give Diane our love, and I will talk to you in the next couple days. Everybody, again, Ed Contini, WRFZ, and one of the newest members of Pocket Full of Wolves.
I love you, brother. Listen, I'm going to hit the sack. Hey, everybody,
go get some fucking sleep. Thanks for coming out here with me. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye.
So, yeah, that was my brother Ed Contini. And as mentioned, I'm going to segue real quick while I do a little bit of technical shift. And as mentioned, another member here of the Pocket Full of Wolves, and she's her own person on top of it, Ayla Huff. Also, Me, Myself, and I, which is her moniker, kind of how I use the old wolf. We met her through Ed Contini's Over the Edge show. And as Ed mentioned, we're all just connecting. We have a lot of things in common. We share a lot of similar ideas, hopes. And again, it's redundant, but it's worth repeating. If we don't take care of each other, who the fuck is going to do it? Okay? It is a simple truth. So strengthen numbers. So this is a new track from Ayla's for the Me, Myself, and I that's going to be released officially soon, but she graciously shared this track with me, and I'm going to keep playing it because I think it's a really great track. It's called Societal Rampage. So kick back, listen to something a little bit different, and then we'll be back.
That's what
So yeah, that was Societal Rampage from Me, Myself, and I. I had the pleasure and the honor of having her on the show, and we were on a show with Ed Contini, as mentioned. And again, you know, not to create, like Wishaya says, like the unicorn dust shit. When you meet people, there are certain dynamics about them that stand out. Okay. Especially within the music industry. And, you know, I've been doing music for a long time. Like Virgil mentions, I know a lot of people. I perform with a lot of people, and a lot of them are really good. But a lot of them are bullshit artists, and they're ego mongers, and they're narcissists. And this is the unfortunate reality of the world we live in. So when you meet people who are authentic, and that was one of the things that really struck me, not only in her music, but in how she spoke. You know, she came down to the radio station and, you know, she was engaging in elements about autism, about mental health. It wasn't like, hey, here I am, pay attention to me. Don't you love me? Give me all. No, she came in and started talking about stuff for other people. You know what I mean? Which is rare these days. Don't get me wrong. It isn't extinct, but it is rare. People, unfortunately, they want what they want when they want it. And, you know, if somebody else can give it to them, you know, they're going to take it. But when people start that off, you know, and again, as far as the first impression goes, Shai and I both were really fucking impressed. We liked her music. We liked her as a person. So we made it a point to say, listen, you know what I mean? This is what we're doing. Why don't you be a part of it? And she agreed. She was like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of it. So now she has become part of that. And by default, Brandy is now part of that. And now by default, guess what? Virgil, you're part of that. Josh, Raven, all these people, you know what I mean? We may not be able to sit down and break bread with you every day, but we still care. And we do the things that we can do for each other to support, to encourage, to give hope. And then, you know, sometimes when needed, you know, be the shoulder to cry on, or as today, you go down someplace and, you know, you help a brother move a fucking table. You know what I mean? It's the simplest things that make the difference, in my humble opinion. Yeah, no, listen, you know, don't get me wrong. Everybody is welcome to interact. You can find us through Old Wolf Music or LadyShot.com. As Virgil said, you can find him on Facebook. We do try and engage with each other. And whatever this is worth, brother, it wouldn't matter who you know. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that's important and it's a part of your life. But we don't judge each other based on who we know. We judge each other based on the things that we do and how we interact. So, yeah, welcome. And I'm sure we'll see each other more on Facebook and stuff like that. And Chaya made a comment as I was playing this track. I have to dance between two distinct worlds of broadcasting. The podcast here, obviously, I can say whatever the fuck I want, but I can't play everything I want because there's this thing called commercial licensing. So I have permission to play Me, Myself, and I. I have permission to play Bonded by Darkness because I happen to know these people, but I can't play Metallica. I can't play Led Zeppelin. My RFZ show on Rochester Free Radio, I can play anything I want as long as it's not explicit, because that's an FM radio show and the FCC says, oh no, you can't use those bad words. You know what I mean? So yes, that particular track has got some explicit lyrics. And listen, some of my music, I can't even play on the fucking radio station because it has fucking explicit lyrics in it. But I'm sorry. Again, I've said this many times. I come from the George Carlin School of Communication. And as such, I use words like fuck a lot because sometimes you need a fuck to emphasize what the fuck is going on. So, yes, unfortunately, you won't hear that track on WRFC, but it's also, you know, the same analogy when I do the Inner Demon Media Show on Saturday mornings. I can play and say anything that I want. I mean, there's no restrictions. You know, the fucking internet's the Wild West. You know what I mean? You can go fucking absolutely ape shit. And unless, again, you do it in a way like, again, AKA Facebook, you put the wrong shit on Facebook and Facebook will be all over your fucking ass. And listen, we have to have content restrictions. I'm a parent, so I get it. I don't believe that children should be exposed to, donkey porn. Okay? I'm sorry. I don't have a problem that there's a place for donkey porn. Okay? If that's what you're into, just don't try and bring the donkey to me. All right? That's all I'm saying. You go do that over there. Okay? I'm not advocating or condoning or saying that, hey, somehow bestiality is cool, because it's not. But in the same reality, you know what? I'm not going to tell other people what to do, okay? I would say be cognitive of where you are, because if it violates a law and stuff like that, you might find your ass in some really deep trouble. But we live in a reality where people do what they want to fucking do. And there's not a whole lot any of us can really do about it. But using the analogy that Virgil, don't try and fucking fight the darkness with darkness. It doesn't fucking work. Okay? Now, on the other end of the coin, and no, listen, Virgil, don't get me wrong. I did not think you were trying to impress you, but you have to remember, as a broadcaster, as somebody who now, again, puts things out there, I work with a radio station, I don't get the luxury of assumption. So I always have to clarify these little points of things. It's not reflective of you, brother. It's me covering my ass. Because sometimes people take that shit out of context. And just as easily, and I'm sure we've all heard the different stories, that's how John Lennon got killed. Because somebody was like, oh, you're somebody. And they took that shit and they twisted it. And the next thing you know, we lost somebody that was an incredible and beautiful artist. So it was not a reflection of you. It was a reflection of the dynamics of the world that we live in. You know what I mean? The same thing happened to George Harrison. George Harrison ended up with a fucking crazy fan that fucking came into his house and fucking stabbed him, tried to kill him. And it's like, really? The fucking Beatles, man? Of all the people in the world you're going to go after the fucking Beatles. It boggles my mind, but I learned a long time ago, I don't even try and dance in the mouth of madness. Some things we are not meant to understand. You're not going to be able to understand why people do some of the horrible things they fucking do. AKA, if you're a donkey fucker, I'm never going to understand that. And to be blunt, I don't want to understand it. Okay? I'm not going to be an asshole and, try and out you or anything. But if you're fucking a donkey in my front yard, yeah, we're going to have a problem, man. Okay? I don't want my kid to see that shit. Okay? Go someplace where donkey fucking is allowed. Get out of my yard. And people are entitled to that. We're entitled to boundaries to protect the people we love. It doesn't mean we get to weaponize it and make people feel less than. In the same analogy, I'm not going to think less of a person because of their sexuality. That's one of the things that drives me absolutely batshit in today's society. You have people running around pointing their finger, worrying about who's fucking who or how they're dressing or all this other stupid shit. You know what? I get it. Okay? I don't want that type of stuff in front of children, but here is the simple truth. Okay? It's already there. Okay? Any child can pick up the fucking phone or a computer and have open access to the most insane, horrible shit. And there's nobody there stopping it or doing it a goddamn thing. But we're freaking out and we're pulling books out of libraries and pointing fingers. However, if you have a person who, for whatever reason, has decided to dance in the mouth of madness and they bring that and it affects your children, then you have every right to say, hey, guess what? No, not my children. Okay? Context. Context is everything. You can take a word, and depending upon how you use it, it will have many different fucking meanings. So you have to go beyond the stereotypes. Again, part of what Ed and I wanted to try and do, and they got a little bit derailed, but we found a way to still segue it. The scenes from an Italian family, families are families. And it doesn't matter if it's an Italian family or a Polish family or a fucking Chinese family or a Mexican family. These are just illusions a lot of time. Yes, there's some truth to some elements of things, but I will submit to you, and I've interacted with a lot of different people from a lot of different cultures, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, agnostic, atheist, and the common dynamic is what you're doing helping other people, or is what you're doing hurting other people? Sometimes it's just a simple bar, black and white. It's not always black and white. A lot of things are in that gray area. But tonight's not the night to play the 50 Shades of Gray. I know Shia wants to, but see, that was my cheeky little way of poking her and being like, yeah, you ain't wrapping me in saran wrap and put me in a box. But a lot of times, the only way that we can get past these types of stereotypes and these illusions is to actually just have conversations. And it's okay. Listen, we all are conditioned to different degrees. We all have history. We all have family. And sometimes those families are great. And then sometimes they're not. You know, we have triggers. We have traumas. So when we can find ways to work around that, we're more alike than disalike. The glass is half full. Any analogy that you want to throw in there gives us hope, gives us potential to be better. So I'm going to cut to a quick track again, because this is another band that I really like and someone that I'm going to have on the show in the next couple of weeks, as long as everything works out. Peril from Phantom High has graciously agreed to come on the show. But beyond that, listening to Phantom High, and not just musically, but in the depth of emotion, of the writing, of the music, you know, for me, not only as a parent, as a human, and as a musician, I can feel that shit, okay? I can read that shit a mile away. And I use shit lightly because it's just a nice little fucking tagline to throw in there. It's not really shit. It's good shit, okay? But I felt that. I felt the power of the music. And when music touches me, okay, I believe that it should be shared. You know what I mean? I shouldn't just hoard it. You know what I mean? It's like having a bag of potato chips, you know? I'm going to share them with the people around me. Ayla, if you go back and if you watch the show from back when it restarted, we played out your track and we talked a little bit about you and stuff like that. And we're going to keep promoting you, so don't worry about it. We're going to talk about you a lot, and you're going to get friend requests, and, you know, you're going to get people being like, oh, that's what happens when you hang out with wolves, sister. But truly, it has been and will continue to be an honor. I'm really looking forward to what the future holds. So, again, we're going to take a bit of a break. I'm going to play one of my favorite tracks from Phantom High, Black Divine. And then we'll be back to talk a little bit more. Now, I'm going to do this track a little bit differently. Again, the podcast, because of the way technology works, some people actually get to watch the video and see the pictures and stuff, and some people, it's just an audio podcast. All they do, unfortunately, is they get to hear it. So for those of you at home who don't get to see this video, I do apologize. But guess what? You can check out Phantom High online, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all those places. They're a great band out of Toronto. They're right across the lake here from us in Rochester, New York. And I believe this is a band worth listening to. So not unlike Bonded by Darkness, and not unlike Ayla Huff, a.k.a. Me, Myself, and I, and a lot of the others, Broken Past, okay, Hogtooth. These are people that are really good musicians, and they're good people. So we're going to keep promoting them. We're going to keep supporting them. So without further ado, for those of you who have not yet experienced Phantom High, I'm going to play Phantom High Black Divine full screen as the video was designed. So enjoy it, and we'll be back.
controlling what I unfolded, a lies unwound, lies unfolding, lies unmolding, the wine encoding, the stones inbound. Baby, embrace me, blazing, we are nature. Baby, embrace me, blazing, we are nature. Divine, underneath the skin, mine. Divine, bleeding from my mind's eye. Divine, shattered paradise, mine. Divine, changing me. I'm in a toughless cat like a brisket. It's just too fucked up in the world to stay. But I can't die when I'm bleeding out, cause the bitch in the mirror's reviving me.
So yeah, I think that's an incredibly powerful fucking track. Okay. If you can read between the lines, as they say, there's a lot of deep emotional shit that Peril has brought to the table and has, really put it out there. No apologies, no fucking nothing. And that takes courage. Okay. Now, again, to give a little bit of narrative to it, for those of you, again, who, maybe you've never experienced that type of thing, within our societies, within our cultures, there's so much bullshit in regards to people's sexuality, how they choose to express it. And what's happened now is kind of a feedback loop where it hurts people. It drives people into dark places. It makes them feel less than. It cuts them off from the beauty and the love simply because they've chosen a different path for whatever fucking reason. Okay. And me personally, okay, not only as a human being, but as a man, I'm compelled to call that shit out. Okay. It's fucking ridiculous. Okay. And I'm not going to speak for Peril or anything like that. But she has been very, very, again, open, blunt, honest in the dynamics of what a lot of her struggles, not only in regards to identity, but in being a musician and trying to find that balance between, art and life and art. And as I said, again, not to be redundant, it takes a lot of fucking courage to do that and to put that out there and to frame it to say, you know what? This darkness, a lot of people feel. A lot of people struggle with elements of identity because they don't believe in the old constructs. It doesn't work for them. Maybe they've been through something. There's so many different variables, so many different fucking reasons why people end up choosing particular paths. And many times those paths are not even actually chosen by them. They're chosen by somebody else. Somebody else has forced them down this fucking road. Now, again, I'm not saying that it applies to anybody in particular, and I'm surely not saying that it applies to Peril or Phantom High, but it's also worth noting that we need people to speak their truth, okay? Don't get me wrong. Take what you need, leave the rest behind, but it doesn't give anybody the right to belittle or to make this now somehow a flashpoint because it's outside of their particular box. And I don't give a fuck what God you believe in or what fucking side of the road or what fence or who you're fucking, nobody has that right. Because I guarantee you, and I say this to all the men out there, if the day comes, and you better hope the day don't come, that women somehow turn it around and get the fucking power, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like it when they fucking roll up and tell you what to do with your dick. Okay? You're not going to like it when they tell you, no, that this is not how things work. And as such, you don't get to sit at the table anymore if you're going to come at us with hate and ignorance and fucking stupidity. And as Sister Brandy says, and I'm starting to love you, I say fuck him. George Carlin. Okay? George had his finger on the pulse a long time ago. He knew it back then. He's known it for a long time, and he was saying it till the day he fucking died. They don't give a fuck about us. They don't. All the powers that be, they play the games, left, right, in between, upside down. Ultimately, it's the choices and the things that we do in our lives, the people around us that make the difference, but we can be better. And the only way we're going to get better as a whole is we have to call it out. So as I've been doing on a lot of my shows that I can get away with it, yeah, guys, stop pulling your dick out. Stop judging based on some outdated bullshit. And again, listen, that doesn't mean you have to go down to the street corner and suck somebody's dick if that's not your thing. Nobody's saying that. Okay? Nobody is saying that. But it's none of your fucking business. Okay? You have no right. You have no standing. And, you know, I'll be the guy to actually stand up there and say, listen, if you feel so compelled that you have to make this into a fucking, again, a flashpoint or some type of other spinneling, dingling bullshit doodah, you're the fucking problem. Come out of the fucking closet. You know what I mean? Go fuck a donkey. Do whatever you got to fucking do to get right with yourself and leave the rest of us the fuck alone. Okay? And it shouldn't have to always be people on the other side fighting the fight. Okay? I'm a heterosexual guy. Okay? I don't make excuses for it, but I also don't apologize for it. But I don't fucking go around hating people because of their choices of sexuality. Yeah, Brady's like, no animals. Listen, I just want to be fair. Okay, because some people identify that way. So it may not literally be a physical genetic donkey. It may be somebody dressed in a donkey suit. So we want to be inclusive. We want everybody to feel a part of. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I just don't want to split the hairs anymore. I just want to say, hey, listen, no more fucking hate. Stop the fucking hate. Leave these people alone. It doesn't matter unless they're doing something that directly affects you or yours. And I'm not talking just because you turned on a TV or you heard a song or somebody posted a Facebook thing that says, oh, no, fuck you. Okay, most of that shit is bullshit. Okay? If all you have, and again, I use Facebook a lot, you know, we're streaming on Facebook right now. But if you think that somehow Facebook or social media is the New York Times or the New England Medical Journal, yeah, guess what? No. Most of the stuff that gets floated out there is twisted or completely fucking wrong. Now, again, context matters. Sometimes it's just a fucking joke. Okay, so when somebody posts a meme, okay, of Hunter Biden floating around in his underwear with some balloons, that's not really, you know, that offensive to me. Okay? But if you start posting, you know, some type of stuff like, you know, somehow, you know, trans people shouldn't, you know, have medical coverage. Oh, no, fuck you. No. They are two completely different fucking things. Okay? Within our society, within our culture, okay, we have this little thing called freedom of speech. Okay? But it doesn't mean you get to be hateful. It doesn't mean you get to whip up the mob mentality over some spin bullshit. And a lot of it is just that. Bullshit. Humans matter, right? Wolves matter too. Ayla's like, yeah, you all sit. Listen, all social media can be interpreted as a joke, but it's like anything, okay? The tools that we have really are interpreted by how people use them. And not all people are equal, and not all people are going to, follow any type of viable path. And Ayla, you're dead on. I was actually joking the other day with Ed and Brian. I opened up my Facebook Saturday morning before I did my Saturday morning show, and there was literally hardcore porn streaming on a live. And they did this fancy little kind of screen manipulation so that way the filters didn't quite pick it up. But there was dick, and there was dick in holes, and it was, and I know what fucking porn is. I've seen porn, okay? It was fucking porn, man. So when people are screaming, oh, we want to protect the children. No, you don't want to protect the children, because if you really wanted to protect the children, you would be dealing with all these other things first, okay? Because the percentage of elements where, a trans person is trying to convert your child is so goddamn small. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, okay? Just because a person is trans or identifies as lesbian or gay doesn't necessarily make them a bad person, but it doesn't necessarily make them a good person. So just like in every element of our life, and this happens racially, this happens within cultural things, people see the fucking Godfather and they think every Italian is in the fucking mob, okay? People watch Schindler's List and they think every German is a fucking Nazi. All right? The analogies go on and on and on and on and on. And right, thank you, Ayla. You judge people individually based on who they are and what they do, because we're all fucking unique. We share many of the similar experiences, and surely we share feelings that are universal: love, joy, fear. Pretty much anybody, if you walk up to them and you stick them with a hot branding iron and burn them, they're going to be like, ouch, that fucking hurts. That burned. Yes, Brandy, no, all Italians are in the mob. No, doesn't work that way. But again, sometimes I like to go on these rants because I believe it's important. And that's why I promote some of the artists that I do. I've had some people, listen, I'm going to be really blunt. I've had some people that I have been associated with over the years that I'm no longer associated with because they're like, what the fuck you doing? Why are you giving them a voice? They're monsters. There's this. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're human beings. I don't give a fuck what their sexuality is. I don't care what God they pray to. If they're trying to help the world, and more importantly, if they're not doing anything to me, why is it all of a sudden my place? Why is it, there isn't. I don't want people telling me what to do, so I'm not going to tell other people what to do. I'm going to try and offer some semblance of, hey, maybe you don't want to do this. I'll share my experience. I'll share my strength. I'll share my hope. I will layer it with a lot of sarcasm and fucking comedy. But again, the people who know me know that that's the only defense I have against the insanity. Because trust me, the last thing you want is a crazy old wolf rampaging, okay? And if you're curious about what that looks like, go watch American Werewolf in London, okay? And it'll be to a Creedence Clearwater Revival soundtrack. I promise you that. And you can blame my mother for that one. A little inside joke, a little humor. And yeah, some humans are monsters. But again, this is the historical context of distraction. You keep people divided, keep them focused on stupid shit. And we're not paying attention to the worst things that they're doing. They're destroying our environment. They are basically erasing entire generations of people, either through, this ridiculous use of drugs. It's like, hey, you don't feel good? Hey, take a pill. Oh, the sun's shone in your eyes? You don't like, oh yeah, here's a pill for that. So we've created generations of drug addicts and dysfunctionality, and we let things like mental illness, oh, you know what, they're crazy, fuck them, it's not my problem. And then, all this shit eventually comes out of the wash. Again, and thank you, Brandy just hit another great George Carlin line, and I'm going to read it just for as it is. And like George Carlin says, every period a woman has gets rid of eggs. So women are serial killers. Yes, listen, that's how easy we can take it and spin it. I loved his analogy about what customer service really is. Customer service really is about them bending you over and gently sliding into the available orifice everything you don't want. That's what weaponized empathy is. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, wacky, wavy, inflatable arm guy, you want to go down and you want to buy this, only $19.99. Yes, for a limited time offer, you too can have the dildo from hell. Everybody needs one. Yes, you too. Tell your friends, tell your family. Yes, dildohell.com. What the fuck? Half the shit that gets floated around is just that. It's fucking bullshit. You know? I don't blame Zuckerberg. Listen, for, myself, like, listen, IRC, AOL, it's all the same fucking thing. I remember the days of MySpace. Anybody who remembers MySpace.com? MySpace.com was basically an amateur version of Pornhub. And people would just basically open up video chats and start fucking. And everybody would sit around and laugh and, hey, can you stick your dick in her ear? You know what? And it was literally, it was just like Caligula, but on your computer. So, yeah, that was a thing. And it went on for years. You know what I mean? Back in the day, you would find literally AOL chat rooms, chicken lovers, for those people who really need a chicken in their life. And guess what, boys and girls? There are people out there that, at least this is what I've heard. I got to be careful here because I'm going to get a shot out and be like, hey, you're endorsing bestiality again. We keep segueing to this, and it's really not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to illustrate that there's so much freaking... You know what? I got a better analogy. We'll get away from the bestiality. South Park, when they did their movie, they hit upon a couple of the different extremes within sexuality. And anybody who's familiar with the term shizer porn, which is basically people who enjoy being shit on. Guess what? There's a multi-million-dollar market for people who enjoy shit. Quite literally. Come shit on me. I want you to shit on me. I will pay you good money to shit on me. Okay? Does that affect me? No, not really. As long as you're not trying to shit on me. And listen, ladies and men, if you can make a couple of dollars by simply taking a dump on somebody, more power to you. I wish somebody would say, hey, listen, I'll give you $1,000 to take a shit on me. I'd be like, when? Where? Now? Sure. I'll take that money and put it to fucking good use. I don't give a fuck. But things get twisted, things get polarized. But again, within South Park, they have for many years hit upon a lot of these fucking, misperceptions. And some of it is just to really point out in a comedic kind of way how fucking stupid we are. You know what I mean? They did an episode where basically the kids were getting high from cats pissing on them. They were cheesing. Okay, look that one up. See how that one rattles around in your head. But this is the world we live in. So yes, indirectly, not necessarily a scene from Italian Family. This show definitely went fucking... yeah. Well, listen, that you forgot about, Japanese puke porn. I think what you're referring to, yes, that's Brazilian fart porn. Listen, pretty much anything you can imagine, there's a place for that. You know what I mean? And for a fee, yeah, listen, I joke about this with Shy, and one of the reasons, she's like, hey, come explore some of this darker side type of stuff. It's really cool. It's like, no, man, no. I don't want somebody stomping on my nuts with fucking stiletto heels. No, that's not my thing. Now, I'm not going to lie. I find a comedic element. So, if the situation arises and somebody says, hey, you want to watch while this chick takes a 9-inch stiletto and just basically smashes this guy's nuts like a piece of fresh veal? I'm like, yeah, sure. Never saw it. Got to be a first time for everything. I'm sure it'll be fucking hysterical. Now, again, if that's your choice, then that's your choice. Have fun. Everything is about context. So yes, we've gone sideways and around, and I think I've pretty much scared everybody out of the podcast. Listen, again, for those of you at home that actually give a shit, there's a method to my madness. It's not to hurt anybody. It's not to belittle anybody unless you're a Scientologist. Okay? If you are, go fuck yourself. You can try and sue me. I don't care. But certain things we need to call out. Okay? If we don't call it out, it doesn't change. And that's the simple truth of human history. Okay? Now, I don't want it to go full on French Revolution where people have to start losing their fucking heads. But there's only so long that you can fucking push people down and just try and jam the ridiculousness down their throat before they finally rise up and say, fuck you. And then it tends to go really bad. All right. It ends up erupting in chaos and violence and all kinds of horrible, ugly things. And we don't have to live this way. We don't. All right. And ultimately, and what's really starting to happen is people are waking up. They're looking at these things saying, you know what? This isn't good anymore. You know, and I'm really glad. I'm glad to see that finally changing. Okay. Because again, as a single parent, especially, it's been fucking infuriating trying to raise my son with the values that my mother gave me to respect these elements when you got these fuck boys and these idiots and these so-called influencers and quote-unquote famous people. You know what I mean? I've done a rant a couple of times about Motley Crue. Motley Crue can go fuck themselves because they continue to endorse this narrative that it's cool to get women drunk and basically rape them and live your wildest life and, you know, become an alcoholic and a drug addict and wrap yourself around a fucking telephone pole. But hey, if you sell 1 million albums, that makes it okay. Well, ask Chris Cornell's family how that worked out for him, because I have more respect for that end of the spectrum than I will for any of these wannabe motherfuckers. And that, you know, people say to me, hey, how come you don't play this? How come you're not out promoting? Like most of the social media sites, and, you know, again, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody per se, but if the dildo fits, it's yours, that are just, you know, they're promoting 100, 150 bands, you know, their fucking pages are just spammed out with, you know, hashtag. Nobody's fucking looking at it. It's not doing anything. All you're doing is spamming the airwaves to get a little bit of that instant gratification. How many likes did it get? How many people clicked on it? Really? Nobody's paying attention to me. Let's do something, you know, it's bullshit. I'd rather have 5 bands that I promote that are quality bands, that are good people, that are deserving of it. The rest can go fuck themselves. Okay? Yeah, I said it. Now, again, as a radio broadcaster, that's not going to buy me any points. But the people who know me know that if I have your back, I got your fucking back. And I don't give a shit if it's online or if it's on a dark street corner, okay? Actions speak louder than words. Thus endeth the lesson. So I'm going to close out tonight with a track again that I did with Matt Brown. Shia did the video, really beautiful photo slideshow from some photography that my brother Rick Garrity has done over the years. Some of it is myself and people within the Under My Skin for Life Foundation. Again, Tattoo Tony Broken Past, Saturday, July 1st, Seaside Heights, EJ's Tap House. Definitely check them out. I love you, brother. So this track, View Below, was something that Matt and I wrote to reflect the disconnect between the reality and the illusions, how people tend to dismiss those because somehow they're less than. Maybe, you know, they're a painter, you know, maybe they're a street cleaner, maybe they work in the local restaurant washing dishes. They're just as fucking important. And I will submit that they're more fucking important because most of you don't even know how to wash fucking dishes. Now, I'm not saying anybody in the audience tonight, because I feel pretty confident with the handful of you that are left around that you're people that I love already. But for anybody else listening, listen, go check yourself in the mirror, and don't get me wrong. Take what you need, leave the rest behind. And in that spirit, enjoy this last track. It's called The View Below. Again, know that you're loved. Try and love each other. And until next time, I am the Old Wolf. You've been listening to Dancing with Wolves.
Towards the edge, there's a tension ever growing in the air. A child drags the blanket through the mud. She hides her eyes from the the sun, but we say, as below, so above, it shall be. The so-called trickle down the piss of royalty. A world of stone and rock, the pain within our feet. Seas to most certainly his grave. In his wallet, a wrinkled photograph of family's embrace. By decree of the crown, to war for naught but vain, they send the desperate poor to die, but we say, as above, so below, it will be. Tower of reflective glass, the view below their feet. We see ourselves while looking in, but inside can't be seen. The old proverb speaks true. Something about homes of glass and throwing stones. Well, the rocks have been just streaming down from the top of the palace walls. Wouldn't it be just a shame if we returned him home?